Hi. So today I'm going to talk to you about the full moon. The full moon, which is going to occur on the 13th of April. So it's very soon. Today is the 11th. I'm pretty busy at the moment, so I didn't even have the time to do a reading of the new moon's chart, which was on the 29th of March. I was in Paris conducting a seminar for 90 people together with my astrologers. We did, a full day of explaining what we can achieve with the astrological tool, and that's quite a task. So before that I had to prepare the seminar, and after that I had to take care of the people who wanted to get more information from what they heard and what they saw during that seminar. So once again, I apologize for being late, also for this full moon video, but let's begin. Let's not waste any more time. Well, perhaps a little bit more, just to talk to you about this picture that you see next to me on the right. It's a full moon, which I have taken myself with a camera which I bought. I wanted to make myself a nice present. It is a very nice camera. It has a super zoom of 125 times, and it's the Nikon P1000. Let's have a look at what it can do. Actually, it's quite incredible. See, this is a picture that I've taken from the back of my house, and you can see the moon is here. Of course, it's quite far away. How far is the moon from the Earth? Do you know? Well, it's 350,000 kilometers, approximately, on an average. Now, with that camera, I was able to get this shot first of all, but I can go farther into looking at some sections of the moon. See, like this one, for example, and you can see all the craters. They're very neat and quite interesting to have a look at. And this one is even sharper. You see all the craters here. That's very interesting. And this is even more, zoomed on the surface of the moon. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this camera. I'm not doing it, talk about these pictures because I'm getting anything from Nikon, not at all. It's just because I like this camera. I want to share with you the images that I can take. And I will show you other pictures later on of birds and things like that I will, zoom on from far away. Now, we should begin the reading of the chart of that full moon, which will occur on the 13th of April. This is the camera. So have a good look at it. This is also the link to reach the site, Nikon site, where you can see a lot more of what this camera can do. This is the French link, but you'll probably very easily find the English one. Anyway, let's carry on. If you want to learn astrology, if you want to, get into it much more, this book is for you, especially if you're a beginner. It will teach you how to analyze a chart in a very deep manner, not just superficial. And it will also help you understand the whys and hows of who you are and how you are, and what you can achieve from the chart that you have, which is, your own specific birth chart. This book is linked to 16 videos, which you can ask me to send you the links at least, but they are indicated under each lesson titles in this book, and they are listed also at the end of the book. Anyway, let's carry on now. This is the chart of the full moon, which is pleine lune, in French. 13th of April, and it's just 23 minutes past midnight. So if you live in the States, for example, it will be the 12th of April during the evening or late night. The full moon is going to occur here in Libra, and it's 23 degrees and 20 minutes in this sign, and of course the sun is across. But what's interesting is that it is very near Chiron, and that signals something about health, and it tells us to be quite careful about our health. Make sure that everything is okay, and that you get enough exercise, and that you harmonize your inner self physiologically and psychologically as well. See, there is here a square, which is a discordance. It's a 90-degree angle, or about a 90-degree angle, with Mars. And that will also indicate a tendency to react too quickly, too sharply, too aggressively even. And if you are not at the right place at the right time, you may find yourself in trouble. So think about that as well, because you may feel quite emotional about what happens around you, and you could react in an exaggerated sort of way, which would lead to results that would be contrary to what you would expect from your own actions or reactions. Luckily, there is a trine here, which is a very positive aspect from Jupiter, which is very protective. So we will be more or less protected, some more than others, of course, because that will depend on your birth chart, on your sign, on your ascendant, and so on and so forth. But we all have something in Libra where the moon is, something in Gemini, something in Aries. It may not be a planet, it may be some other element, or it's a house. We all have a house in whatever sign around the zodiac. So in each sign, there is something to gain and to understand from. Now, Mars is in harmony with what's here in Pisces, and that means that you could also take advantage of your own creativity, love, luck, and your ability to sustain the stress, which is represented by Mars, which will help you deal with special and perhaps sensitive situations. And if that's the case, it would become very constructive rather than the contrary. And because there is also a link here with the North Lunar Node, it means that you should strive to go toward what Saturn represents in your sign, in your chart rather, and it represents the sign Capricorn. So whatever is in Capricorn in your chart is represented by Saturn. So the fact that Mars is in harmony with it now helps us deal with sensitive situations, helps us deal with stress, and perhaps feel more comfortable taking your time doing things rather than rushing to obtain whatever results you are aiming at. Now, the North Lunar Node is also near Mercury, and here is Venus. So Mercury, communication, your brains, how you think, how you deal with whatever is happening around you. And Venus represents, well, the compassion that you can show also to other people and to other people's situation, to other people's cases and so on. And that would help you most probably become more, more spontaneous and more popular as well around your own environment. And Neptune is in Aries, as you can see. It is here at 0 degree and 30 minutes in Aries. Neptune entered in Aries on the 31st of March, so it is very recent. The planet takes 165 years to revolve around the zodiac, and the fact that it is transiting in Aries may bring about a lot more tension stemming from religion, stemming from a tendency to believe, and to believe perhaps what is not a reflection of reality. So we need to assess this, and not necessarily within ourselves, but in other people. And the way the world is turning at the moment could be quite preoccupying for many of us, for many reasons. But Mars, while it is in harmony with Saturn, Mercury, the North Lunar Node, and Venus, helps us deal with any kind of stress to a point, of course, to a certain limit. Over that limit, what are we going to do? I don't know, but this is going to help us anyway. And here we have also what we call a sextile, which is a 60-degree angle, or about 60 degrees, with Uranus. And Uranus represents change. So maybe we need to adapt and to change something important in our life in order to preserve that situation that we are striving to preserve, to protect, and perhaps the results that we want to obtain as well. And that can be in a relationship, in a sentimental relationship, it can be at work, but anything to do with, or anything depending on love, affection, common sense, intellect, communication, will most probably become an asset to obtain the best results. The results are not necessarily going to come as quick as you would like. Saturn represents time, right? So if you give credit to time, maybe time will be on your side rather than the contrary. Now, at the moment of that full moon, which will be, 12th of April if you live west of the time zone, the meridian 0, which is Greenwich, or the universal time, on the 12th of April during the evening, be careful, because you could have the wrong reaction. And if you have the wrong reaction, it could lead to a conflict, or it could lead to an incident. It could even lead to an accident. Accidents do happen, as you know, and they happen quite quickly. So be careful. Now, the next transit of the moon is when it reaches the black moon, which we also call Lilith in astrology. Now, Lilith represents what's hidden. And while the moon transits in Libra, which is going to last for about 2.5 days, it will probably give us a glimpse of what is actually hidden. But something hidden is not visible. And if it's not visible, it could create some worry. And if you worry about something that you cannot see, maybe you worry about something that is not worth worrying about. So before you take action, think about that and try to shed some light on that dark zone, represented by Lilith. And that could also represent a desire that you have, something or someone you're drawn to for maybe physical or even sexual reasons. Be careful about that as well, because the tendency to act or react too quickly being represented by Mars, and as you can see, Mars is in discordance with this conjunction Moon, Black Moon, being also in discordance with Pluto, could lead to a radical type of reaction. So, because the Black Moon represents the dark side of the Moon, as some music group would say, it also represents the darker side of ourselves, and that is perhaps where we should also try to dig in order to get out of a certain manner of dealing with the dark side of ourselves. You see, the sun is across still. It is a false aspect, and it will diminish and disappear during that day. That is the 13th of April at 7 p.m. Universal Time. So take note of that. And the opposition from the sun and Chiron, of course, could tend to make us feel sick, perhaps. Sick about ourselves, or sick about that dark zone or that situation that is something quite difficult to understand, to comprehend, to deal with, to share with other people. Shame could be represented by this conjunction as well, especially because it is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is the sign represented by Pluto. So it could increase considerably the tendency to want to transform, to change, to destroy, perhaps in view of reconstructing eventually, but when? And will you be sure, 100% sure, if you take a hasty decision, which could be quite radical, which could lead to a breakup, for example, which could lead to an incident, could lead to a conflict and so on? Is it worth it? Just think about that while the moon is in Libra, because Libra is the sign that is, in the way I deal with astrology, represented by Vesta, and Vesta is harmony, balance, and well-being. So try to harmonize before the moon reaches the Black Moon, because that will allow you, or it will prevent you from falling into the dark zone. Now, the next transit is, of course, when the moon reaches Vesta. Vesta is at 16 degrees in Scorpio, and there is an opposition with Uranus, and there is an inconjunct here with Jupiter. Now, the moon is going to trigger the energy of Uranus, which is a good thing, really, because Uranus represents what we're able to change, and it could be changing direction, it could be changing job, it could be something that has to do with the manner you deal with the material side of life, food, feeding yourself, earning money on a daily basis from work. Most of the time, of course, that's how we earn our money. And there is here a sextile still with Mars, and there is another sextile here with the stellium here in Pisces. So Mercury, Saturn, the North Lunar Node, and Venus are concerned. So it is a pretty interesting and positive situation in which we could find ourselves. And if you want to change direction, if there is something that you want to, maybe transform with a certain originality, go ahead. Because Vesta is going to make sure that you preserve balance and harmony in your life. And if you're able to do that, if you are able to go around the bend, in a nice way, holding on the wheel of your existential vehicle, it's like a car, but it's your life, then you will negotiate the turn, the bend, and you will change the direction if that direction is needed to change, of course. If not, you can also use that energy of Uranus to maybe buy a new car or a new computer or something that will allow you to communicate better and quicker and more efficiently. That's the 14th of April at about 10 in the evening Universal Time. So take note of the time, and if you have to make a decision to buy something or just to change what I said earlier on, then wait for that time to come and go ahead. Now, the next transit is, of course, when the moon reaching almost the end in Scorpio will create an opposition which is a truer, a stronger opposition than when it was here next to Vesta. But the interesting thing is, of course, this triangle here, because it is a blue triangle, meaning that it is a very positive triangle, and it shows how much we can achieve if we believe in ourselves. Neptune is there to indicate that, and Mercury represents the image that we have of ourselves, and Saturn represents the passions that we put into, what we want to achieve, and the North Lunar Node represents what the goal, the objective that we have for ourselves, and Venus represents the amount of creativity that we can also put into what we want to achieve. So that day, which is the 15th of April, at about 6 in the evening, Universal Time once again, the moon is going to be very friendly with ourselves. It may have more influence perhaps in the lives of people born on the sign Scorpio, or who have their ascendant in Scorpio, in Pisces as well, and or in Cancer, especially the last degrees in the signs. There may be more, of course, concern by what is going to occur. This is what we call a kite, you see, this triangle, and here we have the axis necessary, of course, for the kite to be rigid enough and to fly away. And the head of the kite, would be here in the vicinity of Uranus. So change once again, originality. Make sure that you are somehow different from other people. Show your difference, and build on your difference to become somewhat more interesting for yourself and for other people around you. And you will probably have the necessary inspiration and creativity to achieve something quite strong, which may have very long-lasting repercussions, because remember that Saturn represents time. Then the next transit is when the moon transiting through Sagittarius, here at 18, almost 19 degrees in Sagittarius, will create an opposition with Jupiter, thus triggering the energy of Jupiter, which is the energy of growth, evolution, progress, success. This is something that may strike for many of us. That will be on the 17th of April at about 4 in the afternoon Universal Time. But there is a discordance here with what's in Pisces. That shows that perhaps we need to make sure that what we believe in, be it ourselves or anything else or anyone else, should be considered in a rational manner. Sometimes when we believe strongly about something or someone, we don't want to really think in a rational manner. We don't want to analyze. We just want to feel, because it makes us feel good. But the good that we feel may not last, you see, and maybe the good that we feel hides something that we will discover later on. For example, when the moon reaches here, this conjunction, this stellium as we call it, in Pisces, and that will be about, what, maybe 7-10 days, 10 days later. So yes, it's important on that day not to become overexcited and not to trust too much our own inspiration or intuition, because the moon is in Jupiter's sign and it is opposite Jupiter. So yes, it is going to trigger the energy of Jupiter, which is pretty good. But if we don't consider things in a rational manner, we will most probably make mistakes. So my advice is take it easy, and if there is an opportunity knocking, just think about it, consider it, and if you must act or react according to what you want to obtain from such opportunity, do it, but I would say perhaps in a casual way, rather than, like someone who believes in a miracle. There may not be a miracle. There is here a trine, which is a very positive configuration with Chiron, and also actually with the Sun. So that helps for sure, but it will most probably help us balance out any energies that we have inside to feel better physiologically, health-wise. But of course, when I talk about health, it may be health as such, but it can also be health in some area of your life. So just, consider that, and when the time comes, which will be about 4 in the afternoon on the 17th of April, well, assess the situation clearly and then go ahead or not, depending on the result of your cogitation and reflection about what is going on then. Then the moon is going to reach Pluto, and that will be on the 21st of April. 21st of April at 6 in the morning, universal time. Well, there is the opposition with Mars. Mars has just changed sign to transit in Leo, which it already had done much earlier in this year, in January, and even in December. So when it started to retrograde, it was in Leo, and it went back in Cancer. And from the 18th of April, it's going, or 17th, I'm not sure exactly. It actually depends on where you are on the planet. But when it does, it's going to last until the 17th of June or something like that. So it's quite a couple of months during which the energy of Mars is going to be very strong, because the Sun represents Leo and the Sun represents our ego. So the ego is going to be stronger, and we will most probably become more impatient to obtain what we want to obtain in life, and more radical as well. So we may even actually hear on the radio or TV news about something that may happen very suddenly. It could be someone going crazy and attacking, or it could be a dramatic accident or something that will disturb us mentally and perhaps also sentimentally, because of the nature of the event. But I cannot say exactly what it is, of course. What I can say is be careful. Try to avoid any area, situation, or people who may become a threat, or who may become a source of conflicts as well. and that will be once again on the 21st of April at about 6 in the morning. And if you were born on that day, it means that you will begin your solar return, your new year, your solar year. Every year is a new year when the sun returns at the exact position it was when you were born. And that will lead you to a new chart, which is very interesting to analyze, to obtain a chronological reading and forecast of the year ahead. So if you're interested in that, actually you can log on to our website and you will find information to order such a reading. But if you were born on the 20th or 21st of April, just bear in mind that this configuration is going to stay with you throughout the year. So it indicates a year during which you may be much more impatient and have more radical reactions, and which will, make you much more prone to incidents, accidents, conflicts, and so on. But there is a good but. This good but comes from this here, Venus, Saturn, and the North Lunar Node. They're all in harmony with Mars, but the strongest aspects are coming from Neptune and Mercury, because they are really in harmony with Mars, which is in Leo, and those two here, Mercury and Neptune, are in Aries, two fire signs, So this is going to really help us, you, me, everyone else, to show patience and compassion in certain situations where we could have a tendency to react too quickly, too strongly, too harshly, too, radically. That configuration tells us, take it easy. It tells us that Neptune will probably suggests, that's the inner voice that you will hear within yourself, of course. And Mercury represents your brains, So the way you think and the way you see the world around you, the way you hear things, the way you deal with what you hear and what you read, all that is represented by Mercury. So the fact that Mercury is next to Neptune is going to make us much more sensitive, much more intuitive as well. And we should actually listen to that inner voice, which is going to tell us, take it easy, slow down. That is indicated by the influence of Saturn. But with Saturn, it is a false aspect, because Saturn is in a water sign, not in a fire sign. But still, the number of degrees is acceptable to, consider that it is a trine, but it is a hidden aspect. So it is a bit different. So Saturn will maybe have more struggle to slow us down. That's why we need to rely on Mercury and Neptune, because they will connect with Saturn. They're not very far from Saturn, as you can see. And Venus is love, compassion. Try and see things through pink glasses. Even though you may be in a very difficult situation, because some of us will unfortunately go through difficult times. But if we keep on believing in ourselves and in whatever we need to believe in to carry on, let yourself be guided by this belief, and you will avoid the dramatic and radical influence of Mars opposite Pluto and square Sun as well, which will most probably enhance the role of the ego, which can be a source of accrued trouble in life, unfortunately. Then the next transit is when the moon reaches Neptune, not Neptune, sorry, but it will reach Neptune during that day. It's the 25th of April. Here is just, the first hour of the day. So it's midnight on the 24th. And wherever you are on the planet, try to work out exactly when that is going to begin, because it will begin and it will carry on until the moon changes sign and reaches Neptune, which will happen, let me see, in about 10 hours. So it will happen when during the day of the 25th of April, maybe somewhere around midday, I would say, until somewhere around midday. And during that period, we should all be quite incredible as far as the feeling that we need to believe and to carry on and to create or procreate, perhaps, if you're in a situation that is, well, I would say favorable to some kind of creation or procreation. It will most probably happen then on that particular day and time. But apart from that, the link with Mars, even though it is a false aspect, will become very strong around midday when the moon, changes sign to transit through Aries. And that's when we should actually start to act. Before that, from the very early hour of the day until about midday, we should consider, feel and suggest and perhaps communicate as well, but communicate more with ourselves than with other people, to try and really get it all in, to feel exactly what is going on. And then, past midday, we will be much more motivated and efficient to act according to our beliefs, but also according to our intuition and inspiration represented by Neptune. So the connection with the spiritual dimension of life is going to be greatly enhanced when the moon transits in Aries from the 25th of April around midday until, for about 2.5 days. Now, after that, of course, the moon reaches Chiron, and it reminds us about health. It's very important to stay and to keep in good health as much as possible. What it is in Aries that Chiron indicates that exercise is necessary. And Mars is also indicating that exercise is something that may allow us to evacuate, tension. So if tension is building up, eventually it will turn against you physiologically or psychologically. But here Jupiter is in harmony with this conjunction moon Chiron, so that will be greatly helping, of course. And that means that if you've been ill or if you had some sort of health issue, Jupiter indicates that it may suddenly be all over. If it is over, it will be over on the 26th of April at about 9 in the evening, universal time once again. At least the opportunity to do something to become much better health-wise, and health as such, or health in some area of your life, depending on your chart and your life, then take advantage of the opportunity for sure. Be opportunistic, because that will most probably serve you right. And even if you don't really see it clearly on that particular day and time, 26th of April, about 9 in the evening, you may become much more aware of it when the moon reaches Jupiter, which will be about, let's say, 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, I would say, later, so around the 30th of April. But that will be after the new moon. See, the new moon occurs on the 27th of April at 1932, which is 7:32 p.m. universal time. And of course it will be shown by the conjunction between the Sun and the Moon, and they're both here at 7 degrees and 47 minutes in Taurus, right opposite Vesta, square Pluto, square Mars. So that will be a very interesting chart to analyze, because it shows that the period from a new moon, which represents the beginning of a new cycle, if that new cycle is started too quickly, we're bound to find ourselves in trouble. So I will talk about that, of course, as soon as I can, and before the 27th of April, naturally, to help you deal with the configurations that are going to occur as the moon revolves around the zodiac. But for now, I will say thank you very much for watching this video. I wish you all the very best, a very beautiful full moon. My books are here for you as well. If you're interested in learning astrology or getting some insight into different areas that covers astrology, then my books are for sale on the Amazon website in your country. So thank you, and bye-bye. All the very best. Take care.